Live streaming is on.
Welcome to episode number 325 of the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for all of you marketing, advertising, public relations, and communications professionals. You can find us by searching for Beyond Social Media Show. We are recording live on YouTube. It is October 3rd, 2020. A lot of things to talk about this week, including NASA space poop, Estee Lauder's cosmic view, Google pays publishers, Speedy WordPress, Google on hold, social media paparazzi, home surveillance drone, FancyBear Returns, LAPD's surveillance system, Twitter crop, and stats about the people also ask boxes and search results that you'll want to stick around for. A fascinating new study by SEMriush. But we kick it off with the best story of the week. And BL, you have that honor. BL, what was the best story this week?
Well, I think between us, our favorite things, in addition to robots, are Legos and space. And this is a NASA story, which explains how they have successfully launched the first space toilet, along with a whole lot of other tools. They just the other day, I guess, they launched a cargo rocket that's going to the International Space Station, and it's a resupply mission for them. And so the headline here from NASA was "Boldly Go!" NASA's new space toilet offers more comfort, improved efficiency for deep space missions. So the resupply spacecraft is going up there, and so it's got on board research on cancer treatment, a crop of radishes to grow at the International Space Station, a VR camera, which I'll tell you more about, and a new space toilet. So in anticipation of getting the space toilet, which I actually have a picture of for the show notes, in anticipation of that, they built an enclosure, kind of like a bathroom that the space toilet can be in for privacy. So the astronauts and the cosmonauts are going to test it out for 3 years, and then they'll eventually give it to all the NASA astronauts to use on their missions to the moon and beyond. It's costly because it's called the Universal Waste Management System, and it's part of a system that recycles urine into drinking water. So when it comes to our urine on International Space Station, today's coffee is tomorrow's coffee, NASA astronaut Jessica Meir said in a press release about the space toilet. So they're creating also this immersive virtual reality series documenting life and research on, they've been doing that for a while, but now partnering with Time Magazine and the International Space Station National Lab. There's a team from a company called Felix and Paul Studios, and they have a 360-degree camera that they'll be able to actually film a spacewalk from start to finish. They've already done, videos of VR showing life inside the International Space Station, but this is new. And so that's the first time, and they'll be able to have footage of Earth from outside the International Space Station. So a lot of good stuff happening at NASA. And, there wasn't a hell of a lot of good news this week, but this got me happy.
So, I mean, the obvious thing was recycling urine for drinking water, but you said nothing about poop. Or what are they doing with the poop?
They're just saving it. Because, there's a coffee, the most expensive coffee in the world, that is made from the urine of monkeys. And actually, they're not just called monkeys, they're a special kind of monkeys, but it's from their poop, actually. They poop on the beans. They're not doing that here. They're just going to have it, they're just going to keep it and bring it back, I guess. I don't know. But space, it's going to be a lot better than wearing diapers, which is what they do now.
That's true. Yeah, I would think that they'd be trying to extract the nutrients or something from the poop.
Well, they can do that when they bring it back, Yeah,
they need to know how to do it in space so that we can travel to other, planets and everything and eat our poop.
Oh, I can hardly wait to hear about that one.
So I got a NASA story that is not nearly as I don't know what the word is. Fascinating. Let's say it's that, but it's a good gambit. This is from a Bloomberg story by Kim Bossin and Justin Bachman about Estee Lauder, who is paying NASA $128,000 to fly 10 bottles of its skin serum to the International Space Station, so that astronauts can take pictures of the advanced night repair in the cupola control tower, which I didn't know even existed, but apparently the cupola control tower has panoramic views of the cosmos. So as that backdrop, Estee Lauder is going to do a product shoot. They will use the images on social media. They're planning to auction one bottle of this space skin serum for charity, and there you go. Look for it on Estee Lauder's social channels in the not too distant future.
That is hilarious. I remember in the many years ago, before some of our listeners were probably born, when you could make whatever your product was the first whatever in outer space. So Tang was the first fruit drink in outer space, and somebody sent a pen, and products were sent, and it was really, as I recall, not an enormous fee, but you got to say that in your advertising. So this is like the next dimension of that. I love it. But I would think they would want the astronauts to put it on their skin and see if it got better. But anyhow, this is good news because Google has had a fraught relationship with publishers, because publishers tend to lose their ad revenue, because when people see a link on Google, they get the gist of the story from the little explanation, little paragraph. And so a lot of times people don't click through to the site, and this costs the publishers millions of dollars. So Google has announced that they're going to pay out $1 billion to publishers to license content for a new Google News showcase. And so this is from a TechCrunch story by Ingrid London. And so those papers, those publications, to survive, they've had to do all these alternative models around paid content. They have to do more events. They have to try and do subscription services. They have to do tiered subscriptions. So Google said they'll collectively pay the $1 billion to news publishers in licensing fees to create and curate high-quality content for the news story panels that will appear on Google News. Now, I don't know if that actually means they have to make separate content from what's in their publications. That wasn't clear, but it's rolling out first in Germany and Brazil before it goes to other markets, and the emphasis is definitely on mobile. And Sundar Pichai said the other day that they've already made more than 200 deals in Germany, Brazil, Argentina, Canada, the UK, and Australia, and that initially they're going to only appear on Android devices and eventually also on Google News on iOS. The news showcase seems to be primarily focused on how news is consumed on mobile devices rather than desktop computers. But of course, that's where a lot of people get their news. Many people get their news. So it's not clear how much money the individual publishers are going to make out of this initiative, nor how they're going to drive business to the publications without Google getting a piece of the action for doing so. This prime focus for publishers has been trying to stay alive. And at best, this might be similar to Apple News. It could help publishers hedge their bets or even bolster them, with paywalls and driving people to using them rather than cannibalize those other efforts. So, Google seems to be aware of the stakes, and they seem to argue that it's not the only reason that publishers are feeling the heat, which is probably true. But as we know, and as we discuss all the time, Google is infamous for coming up with a service, rolling them out, and then abandoning them when they fail, or, as is so often the case, when they become popular. So, this seems to be another experiment, and who knows when it's going to come to us. But I think it's a move in the right direction, which is why I have it in the best news.
Yeah, I mean, news is no secret that the news industry is hurting big time. First, Craigslist destroys their ad revenue from classifieds, and then Google comes along, and Facebook comes along, and everybody starts viewing their content on other platforms. So the ad dollars dry up. I noticed I'm working on a political campaign locally, and I just didn't realize this was happening, but it makes a lot of sense. Local newspapers now are charging for letters to the editor. You have to buy your way into a letter to the editor.
Really?
So yeah, so they're like charging $30, I think, for
hate
placing
that
a letter
idea.
to the editor. It's a horrible idea, but I understand why they're doing it. They don't. I mean, local news especially. Your hometown newspaper of Chaska, the Chaska Herald, or the Chanhassen, whatever villager. They're struggling to survive. So I get why they do it.
I get that, but we talked a couple of episodes ago. Google also gave $300 million to local news and to help local papers survive. And I can't remember exactly what that initiative entailed, but they're trying to be a better citizen in this field. But the idea that, free speech is being able to write a letter to the editor, and so I find that really unpleasant.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but also, Google throws out a $300 million number, and it's huge. It's a big number. Everybody agrees that it's a big number, but across all the different
right, it's not so big in that regard. Yeah.
So this is nice. This is Tech Radar article by Joel Khalil. And WordPress, obviously, one of the most popular publishing platforms. I swear by it for creating websites. It's popular for a reason. There's all kinds of flexibility involved. If you need a developer, there's a lot of developers who know WordPress, so it's not like you got somebody you're searching for talent to help you with your site. But and it's got all these plugins so that you can you have all the flexibility and having all kinds of features that were produced by other people who just needed it to do something, so they created a plugin for it. Part of the problem with plugins, though, is that too many of them slow down your site. And if you're a small business and you're in a shared hosting account, your website can be slow because you're sharing the hosting service with a bunch of other websites and everything. So Cloudflare, the content delivery network and hosting-ish kind of company, is offering a plugin. So they've had a plugin for WordPress that speeds up your website. So even if on your small website, you're on a shared hosting provider, you can use this plugin to speed it up. And then they've got a new service to increase the speed of your website. And speed is a huge thing, especially on mobile. If your website doesn't load right away on mobile, people just bounce out. So within 10 milliseconds of 99% of the internet connected population, it is going to deliver your site in that speed, according to this article. But they've got a free plugin, but you can get the service for $5 a month for anyone get it. People who already use Cloudflare, of course, will get this service for free. But at $5 a month, that's a pretty good deal.
That is a good deal. Yeah. So I have, I love this actually. Google's got their hands in an awful lot of things. And so on the new Pixel phone, the Google Assistant is getting more like a actual assistant, and they'll actually be on hold for you when you call an 800 number, and then they'll notify you when you can talk to a human. Now, this is from the Google blog, and there's times when a phone call is what you need to do, whether you have to call tech support or you're trying to return something to someone, or you got to get in touch with your bank or whatever, a phone call. But anytime you call, inevitably you're being on hold and you're hearing horrible music and repeated messages that you didn't want to hear. So the statistic is astounding. People in the United States spent over 10 million hours on hold with businesses last week. So now, Hold for Me is on the latest Pixel phone. It's an app that comes with it, and it helps you get your time back because starting with an early preview on Pixel 5 and Pixel 4a 5G in the US, now when you call a toll-free number and a business puts you on hold, Google Assistant will wait on the line for you. You then go back to do whatever you were doing, and the Google Assistant notifies you with a sound or vibration and a prompt on your screen once somebody comes and is ready to talk. And so you tap Hold for Me when you call the 800 number and get put on hold, and the app takes over. I think that's just wonderful.
Wasn't Google Duo doing that thing where wouldn't it call and make a reservation for you at a restaurant?
That was a while ago. Yeah, I don't know if that's still working.
I think that was Duo, but I assume this is the same technology that they're using for.
It must be.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Because I can definitely use that. This is just a delightful story. It's BuzzFeed's Tanya Chen, who reports on a guy named Fletcher Green, who lives in Los Angeles, and he follows around famous teens in Los Angeles and interviews them on camera for his The Hollywood Fix YouTube channel. It talks about the start of the pandemic and how his YouTube channel took a dramatic shift away from capturing traditional celebrities, as paparazzi are wont to do, but he shifted to social media celebrities. And over the past few months, it's become exclusively TikTok stars that he's stalking for his paparazzi.
Of which there are many.
Yeah, apparently enough to support a YouTube channel. He said it wasn't a calculated move as much as a consequence of COVID-19. And the best thing about this article, we'll put a link to it in the show notes, you got to read the whole thing, is the quotes are just hilarious. So the guy is just a quote machine. So here's one of them. When you scroll through my feed over the years, it's all mainstream celebrities like Jennifer Gardner, Hilary Duff. But when COVID hit, these guys left town and just disappeared. All the celebrities just dried out. I'd go out and work an 8-hour shift and come home with an empty memory chip. I like the alliteration on that. He said the only notable people in Los Angeles that were still in town and out and about were influencers and TikTokers. And there's another quote. I said, let me shoot kids that have millions of fans on TikTok and let me see how it'll do. It just blew up. It was almost like following a high school drama, but in real life. And then another part, he talks about how, these kids are the only ones going out. They go to a restaurant, they hang out, everybody's outside. It's Los Angeles, so everything's nice and everything, so you can film it. They hang out, they get hammered and start dancing on tables and cheating on their girlfriends.
And he's there to film it.
He's there to film it. So
we must keep ourselves entertained.
Yes, we must.
Oh, that brings me to bad news.
I got one more good one.
Oh, good.
This is especially for you, BL. We both are fascinated with drones, but BL and I differ when it comes to surveillance technology or smart speakers. But here's a combination for both of them for you, BL. The Verge's Dan Seifert reports on this. Ring has a new home security camera that is called the Always Home Cam. and it is an autonomous drone that flies around the inside of your home.
Oh yeah, I want one of those.
To give you perspective when you're not home. When it's done flying, it returns to its dock to charge the battery. It's fully autonomous, but owners can can tell it what to do, take whatever path you want it to take throughout your home. So when you first get the device, you build a map of your home for it to follow. Presumably, it didn't say in the article, but I assume it's doing like a scan of the interior of your home, so it knows, basically where to go. But it can be commanded to fly on demand or programmed to fly when a disturbance is detected. It's expected to cost $249.99 and will start shipping next year. So I was going to say maybe I could get it for you for the holidays, but we'll have to wait till next year. The idea is to provide multiple viewpoints throughout your home without requiring the use of multiple cameras. There you go.
The potential for it to clock somebody who gets up in the middle of the night to pee is enormous. If it's going for disturbances, oh my God, I'm still not having a smart speaker in my house. Okay, bad news. This is really horrible news, unfortunately. Apparently Russian hackers are very likely to be the ones who got into a federal agency. So this is from an Ars Technica and Wired story by Andy Greenberg. A warning identified that unidentified hackers broke into an agency of the U.S. federal government and stole its data is scary enough, but it becomes more disturbing when they're identified. Then it appears very likely that they are part of the notorious team of cyber spies working in the service of Russia's military intelligence agency, the GRU. So in case you were wondering if Russia is still trying to influence our election, last week, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency of our government published an advisory that hackers had published an unnamed U.S. federal agency, and it didn't identify the agency or the attackers, but they described the attackers so that the cybersecurity agency called Dragos and an FBI notification that Wired got hold of in July suggests that the likely answer appears to be FancyBear, which is a team of hackers working for Russia's GRU. So they're also known for some reason as APT28, and they have been responsible for everything from hack and leak operations targeting the 2016 U.S. presidential election to a broad campaign of attempted intrusions targeting political parties, consultancies, and campaigns this year. So they used, what they did is horrible. They used command line tools to move the agency's machines and then they downloaded content malware. Then they used the malware to get the agency's server, and they moved collections of files because they were now controlling the agency's computers, and then they compressed them into zip files that they could easily steal. And so earlier this month, Microsoft warned that the same group had been carrying out a mass-scale, relatively simple technique to breach election-related organizations and campaigns on both sides of the political aisle. So according to Microsoft, they used a combination of password spraying that tries common passwords across many users' accounts, and then password brute forcing those tries against a single account. And, this is just not going away. Horrifying.
Yeah, well, it's not. We have an infrastructure problem in the United States. We have bridges falling down and a creaky, aging electricity grid. But we also have a technical infrastructure problem in the United States that we need to beef up, because clearly that's a problem. But
it must not be that hard for them if they can do it that easily.
Going from Russian hackers to police surveillance. This is a BuzzFeed news article by Carolyn Haskins, and BuzzFeed has been doing some amazing work of late, and this is part of that as well. They have obtained training documents, training manuals for Palantir's Gotham service. Palantir is a company that was founded by Peter Thiel, a huge Trump supporter, former PayPal founder, who kind of understood artificial intelligence when he was with PayPal, because they developed artificial intelligence to prevent against fraud. And PayPal has had early on a big, huge problem with people hacking PayPal accounts and everything. So he cut his teeth there and decided to take what he learned to Palantir, which is basically a surveillance company that has huge government contracts, and they have huge contracts with police departments, of which the Los Angeles Police Department is one, and that's what these training manuals that BuzzFeed has obtained deal with. So the Palantir has helped the Los Angeles Police Department create this huge database that consists of the names of people that are arrested for, convicted of, or even suspected of committing crimes. It also ingests, Palantir also ingests daily law enforcement activities. So from the article, here's a paragraph from the article, maybe a police officer was told a person knew a suspected gang member. Maybe an officer spoke to a person who lived near a crime hotspot or was in the area when a crime happened. Maybe a police officer simply had a hunch. The context is immaterial. Once the LAPD adds a name to Palantir's database, the person becomes a data point in a massive police surveillance system. And this is all at taxpayer expense, of course. There's no public oversight or regulation. And the database it just indiscriminately lists names, addresses, phone numbers, license plates, friendships, romances, jobs of Angelinos, the guilty, innocent, and those in between. It includes information from the Department of Motor Vehicles, so people with California driver's license. It includes 1 billion pictures taken from license plate scanners. So it's just, it's just ingesting more information. And the thing with this is that the more data that systems like this have, the more valuable they become to the users. So police can search by race, by gender, by gang membership, by tattoos, scars, family or friends. So you can put in searches like male, white, Peckerwood gang, skull tattoo, person, male, Hispanic, history tattoo, and it will give you a list of names with associated home addresses, email addresses, vehicles, warrants, mugshots. If it finds related surveillance pictures, we'll show those as well, along with any personal connections it might find, including friends, family members, neighbors, coworkers, and it will generate a list of people who the system believes are likely to commit a crime in the future. That's Minority Report pre-crime stuff.
Wow. That's scary. Likely to commit a crime in the future. Welcome to the gulag. So we've talked about this before too. Artificial intelligence has had difficulty distinguishing the faces of Black and brown people. And so right now, Twitter is going to have us become their new photo cropper, because this is from a Gizmodo article by Rhett Jones. And it's not the first instance where white faces were favored over blacks, but now it's come to light on Twitter because Twitter apologized last month when a whole lot of users noticed that it's photo cropping. If you don't have exactly the right dimensions when you put the photo in there, it's cropped, and you have to click on it to see the whole thing. So the photo cropping tool seemed to favor white faces over black and brown faces. It even favored a golden retriever over a black lab. And so despite the apology, they said they couldn't really figure out what to do. They just said they're working on it. So users started testing, and I have some examples for the show notes. They started testing examples of photos with odd aspect ratios that didn't fit into the Twitter parameters, and Twitter uses machine learning to analyze these photos and predict the part of the image that you're most likely to look at first. And time and again, they found out that if the photo included a white person and a black person, Twitter chose to display the white face in the preview of the image. And this happened in images featuring Mitch McConnell and Barack Obama. And so it happened in images featuring Lenny and Carl from The Simpsons. And so this Thursday, Twitter announced that they'd seen enough to know it's really time for them to do something. Duh. So the chief design officer, whose name is Dantley Davis, I love that name, said that Twitter is continuing its analysis and adding, quote, further rigor to the process, and will eventually share what they find. But in the meantime, it's working on a solution that really shouldn't be that hard for them to figure out. But in the meantime, it's going to let users decide how a photo should be cropped. I don't know when that rolls out. I certainly don't have it, but designers say they're still testing approaches to the new cropping tool, and that going forward, what you see is going to be what you get. In most cases, users will simply choose how the preview looks in their timeline, but they're hoping they're going to come up with a more elegant tool. Now, this is really, there's no excuse for this. I mean, this has been known for a long time, and it can't really be that hard to figure out. So that's why I have it in bad news.
Yeah, well, I was going to say we have been talking about this same basic story for years.
Exactly.
And there's obviously a race problem with computer vision, and I suspect it is that the initial models for computer vision algorithms just had a shitty database or shitty set of images that they were trained on, and that everybody subsequently used that library of machine learning that was trained improperly, that was trained with the poor set of images, and wasn't refined for race, because most programmers are white. So don't even think, it's not necessarily even malicious. It's that it doesn't occur to them that they need to train it on a diverse set of images.
But didn't we do a story, I can't recall how long ago, about it was either Facebook or Google or somebody was working on changing that library and making it more diverse. And I think we talked about this more than once. And, they got the brains to do a lot of other things. Why can't they do this? I mean, the one that you'll see the picture where, you click on it and you see there's, Mitch McConnell and Barack Obama. But what Twitter shows you is two pictures of Mitch McConnell.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So do you have any more bad news?
I'm done.
I have a smile. And I had to look really hard to find something to smile about. As I told you before the show, Twitter took away their tab for fun. So, if you want to find the Catter Day pictures, you even have to search for Catter Day. I mean, you used to just have them in the fun tab. So this is from CNN, and a 3-week-old kitten was rescued from a California wildfire, and the rescuers couldn't help but notice that he looked just like Baby Yoda. And so they estimated he's 2 to 3 weeks old, and they found him in the middle of the road, and he was covered in ash in the North Complex fire in Northern California. And so they took him to the California Oak Animal Shelter, and he was examined, and the North Valley Animal Disaster Group said on Facebook that they'd named her Baby Yoda, and they're quite sure that when it's well enough, it will have no problem getting adopted. I have a picture of it for the show notes. It's adorable.
Well, yeah, there's a reason The Mandalorian took off and was so popular. Is Baby Yodas are awfully cute. My question is, this has nothing to do with your story. It has to do with Baby Yoda. When is Baby Yoda going to start growing up?
Why should Baby Yoda grow up?
When is Baby Yoda going to start growing up?
Why? Why should he or she?
Well, you would think. I mean,
In a
eventually,
sequel?
Yoda is not a baby anymore. We know this from previous Star Wars movies. So,
Well, Baby Yoda's just too cute, and there's too many toys that are selling so well.
there's that. There's that. So let's go into cool, shiny new stuff. I've got this. This is an awesome tool. You know, in Google search results, the people also asked boxes
Yes.
that answer the questions that people also ask surrounding a given search. Well, this is an also asks tool. So you put in a keyword that you want to research what people are asking about, and it gives you a branching visualization of the questions that appear in the people also ask boxes in Google searches based on that keyword. So it's if you're like, one of the things you do for optimizing websites is answer a bunch of questions that people have about a given topic. So this is a great keyword research tool for that, especially if you're trying to optimize for those people also ask boxes. So you get this visualization, you can see what other questions people asked about that topic, and then you can save the results as a CSV file, so you can do your keyword research there, or you can save it as a visualization as a PNG file, and it's free.
That's cool, because SEMrush has something very similar, but it's not free. No. Yeah. So I came across this week, and I think it was a question somebody asked on Quora, and this was the answer. But it's called Tweet Deleter, and it lets you delete old tweets. It has access to Twitter's API, which is rare these days, and it can actually erase your most recent 3,200 tweets. If you want even older ones, you can upload your whole file to Tweet Deleter, and you can delete them that way. You can search by keyword, type, date, or media, photos, videos, whatever. So, that's, I guess if you're trying to clean up your reputation, that might be a good way to go about it.
Suspect there's going to be a lot of aspiring politicians that will be using this.
Absolutely.
So I've got both a cool tool and a project, so I'm going to combine them for this. I've been working on a redesign of a website, and called goodcarts.co. It's not .com, .co. Goodcarts.co. And it is a network of mission-driven e-commerce stores. So B corporations, public good companies, companies that are in for a profit but out to do good in the world. And so it's a network of these stores, and you can join it if you're a similar store. You can join it, and they have a free Shopify app that you can install for your Shopify store. And it allows you to create coupons for discounts of your products. So if you're like free trade coffee or something like that, you install the Shopify app, you create a coupon for 20% off a bag of beans. And then those coupons are displayed on the network members' purchase confirmation pages. So another Shop for Good store, after somebody buys from that place, it'll show these coupons. And then that will drive traffic to your Shopify store. So it's basically a sharing of free traffic among highly qualified purchasers, because these are people who have already purchased from a mission-driven company. So it's all free. Stores that qualify can sign up and install the app and start getting free traffic of qualified customers. My role was, as I said, redesign the website. I moved it from Drupal to WordPress and a new host, implemented analytics through Google Tag Manager and digital advertising, pixels, Facebook, and so forth. And then I'm managing digital advertising, doing some strategic consulting on an ongoing basis as well. But I spent quite a bit of time redesigning this website, so I'm happy I can finally talk about it now that it's launched, and we'll put a link to it in the show notes, along with a demo video of how this thing works. So
What a good idea that is.
Yeah.
That really is. And I know you've been working on it for months, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, good on you. That's great. So on your recommendation, I this past week went to the search engine search the YouTube Summit by Social Media Examiner. And it was a couple of hours every day. And one of the things that I took away from it is the tool called TubeBuddy. And it's a free Chrome, Firefox, and Edge browser extension. It has paid parts too. And also now there's mobile, and it integrates directly into your YouTube channel to help you run your channel. So it's got advanced keyword research and a bunch of other tools, and they go deeper than your Google Analytics will go, and they go awfully damn deep. So there's a pro version for $9 a month, but if you have less than 1,000 subscribers, only $4.50 a month. And it generates thumbnails, it has tags and keyword tools, it has lots of other things. And it goes all the way up to $49 a month with video A/B testing, auto tag translation, publishing to Facebook, caption service, and a whole lot more. What a great tool. I can't wait to use it.
I love TubeBuddy. It's a cool tool. That is a good one.
So that brings us to politics, huh?
It does. And you got the floor. I don't have any politics, so I'll just sit back and listen.
Kellyanne Conway's 15-year-old daughter, Claudia, broke the story that her mother had COVID and on TikTok. And so Kellyanne Conway announced that she had COVID on Friday night, and her daughter, who she broke the news in a series of TikToks in the afternoon, revealing her mother's positive diagnosis and denouncing Trump in terms we cannot discuss here on this family-oriented show, or we'll get banned from YouTube. But Kellyanne Conway tweeted Friday evening that she tested positive, but Claudia Conway posted a string of videos and saying that she was personally experiencing respiratory issues. Her mother was coughing all over the house after Trump tested positive, and she said, "That's weird. That's suspicious." Then in a later video, she's wearing a face mask, and it has the caption, "Update, my mom has COVID." And then she tells her followers that she's going into a 2-week quarantine. And then even after that, in another TikTok, she says she's furious with Trump and uses language that we can't discuss on this podcast about her feelings. And I thought that was absolutely hilarious, actually. But I mean, the Conway family is having a real serious problem internally, and that's why George Conway stepped away from Project Lincoln, and that's why Kellyanne Conway stepped away from her job that she seems to still be doing. But it's the kids got a point of view, that's for sure.
Well, she's right to be furious at Trump. I mean, it's one thing to be furious at him for all the American carnage he has wrought,
right?
And you're right to be furious about that. But it's also, you infected my family.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah. And so now they all have to quarantine, and the whole thing is just such a mess. I mean, just such a mess. But I do have another one. Do you have any political ones? This was a Project Lincoln campaign that mocked Lindsey Graham, begging for money on Hannity. It was actually a riot. Graham believes that people hate his guts, and that's why it's been so hard for him to get money. So in an interview on Fox News, he said the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg would likely raise a lot of money for his political opponent, Jamie Harrison. It did. And with the much hated "In the Arms of an Angel" playing a voiceover, encouraged people to visit SaveLindsey.com to donate money to his campaign. Except the website goes directly to a donation page for the Lincoln Project that says only you can help stop Lindsey Graham's suffering. He served as Trump's lapdog for too long. With your immediate contribution, will work to end Lindsey's career.
It is hilarious. I mean, because they're so brilliant because they take off things. It's all truth. It's taking off things that you already know. So the arms of the angel, the you can save me, blah, blah, blah. But it's Lindsey Graham who must be saved. Very funny.
So I have a pro tip. This is just something I noticed this week on the LinkedIn jobs feature. Now, if you look at a job posting, it shows you people who work at that company who went to your college. I don't recall seeing that before, but that's a really good thing.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, whatever connections you can have within a company, that's definitely an advantage. Mine is video email signatures. This is from a Vidyard article by Lori Connor, and we'll put a link to the article in the show notes. It's basically a guide of how to do this, but it's a good idea. Video email signatures. So basically, how to embed a video in your email signatures. You think about, especially for people like PR people who are emailing people all the time, their emails have a lot of visibility. So embedding a video in your email signature makes a lot of sense. You don't actually embed because it's a thumbnail of an image of a video that you link to elsewhere. But this article shows you how to do it. But personal branding videos. So if you want to give a short introduction of yourself in a very compelling through video way, demo videos if you've got a product you're pushing, explainer videos, event promotion when that was the thing, or virtual event promotion. There's a lot of different ways you can use these, but there's my pro tip.
I'm pretty sure that the paid version of WiseStamp has that feature now. Pretty sure it does. That you can put it into, you can add that into your signature with an embed code.
What is WiseStamp?
WiseStamp is a way of making your signature with links in it, like I have on mine. You can put a picture of yourself. You can put, you can add a video. It's probably something like $50 a year. I don't know, but I've always had it, and you can so you can link to your Twitter and you can have symbols for it instead of just links and that sort of thing. And you can make it pretty.
Well, it's not embedding video because you can't embed code in email. The Google, the Gmails, and the Outlooks of the world are going to strip out the code because that's dangerous to include code in your emails. But what they do is they grab the thumbnail from the image and use a thumbnail link to the video. But let's wrap this up. Weekly numbers. This is, as I mentioned, SEMrush. You mentioned SEMrush. This is a new study by SEMrush about people also ask again. This is the People Also Ask episode. So this is it's based on 1 million search queries that SEMrush has, and it's basically the likelihood that a People Also Ask box set will appear in search results depending upon industry. It's a bigger survey. This is just a little chunk section of it, but it varies depending on industry. So I'll break down some of the at the top part. Computer and electronics, 64.2% of searches in that category triggered a people also ask box. Arts and entertainment was next with 64.1%, travel 61%, sports 55%, science 53%. At the bottom end, starting from the bottom, the least likely industry is real estate with 9.5%, online communities 26.5%, home and garden 27.4%. There's a whole list of them. Put a link to it in the show notes. But some interesting data. The whole report actually is very fascinating, well worth the read.
That is interesting. I saw a report that I meant to send to you about the most searched terms of the last 6 months, and the top one was stimulus check.
Yep.
That brings us to the end of episode 325 of the Beyond Social Media Show, and you can find us and everything about us by just searching Beyond Social Media Show. we will have a link to everything we discussed today at BeyondSocialMediaShow.com/325. And we hope that you will go there and take a look at the links to everything we discussed here. So I'm here with my always charming co-host, David Erickson. On Twitter, he's D. Erickson. On Instagram, he's DE Erickson. On YouTube, he's eStrategy. And he blogs at the really wonderful e-strategyblog.com. I'm BL Ochman. I'm What's Next on Twitter. I blog at What's Next Blog. My YouTube channel is What's Next Blog. I have a website at blochman.com. The show, again, BeyondSocialMediaShow.com. And on Twitter, we're at BS Media Show. You can listen and subscribe to our podcast on our YouTube channel, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Anywhere you have a podcast, you'll find us there. We're on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Pandora, you name it, we're there. And we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, it did not record.